Hello, this is the Father Guido Sarducci coming to you live from the library here at the Vatican. As many of you know, in just a few hours, Pope Benedict will be stepping down as the Pope. For some of you, this is new news because he mentioned it just a few weeks ago, and a lot of people were really shocked that the Pope would have stepped down from office. But I knew a long time ago that this Pope was thinking about leaving the popehood. You see, back in the summertime, I was at the Vatican, working out at the Vatican gym. Oh yeah, they have a beautiful gym there at the Vatican. It goes back to the apostolic times. Originally, it was built by Saint James, the Lord's brother. You see, Saint James was really like exercise guru of his day. And he had like health food bars and everything. And he was very into exercise. And whenever a lot of the other apostles would get together and meet with him, they would all say, hey, let's go over to gym and exercise. Because that's what they called him. They didn't call him a James. It was very informal back then. They would just say, hey, gym. And so that's how I got the name of exercise place is a gym. And then many years later, after they had the Protestant Reformation, they changed it from J-I-M to G-Y-M in protest. And but whether it's gym or gym, it still means the same thing. Back in those days, that's how they were. They were very informal. For example, like a Saint Matthew, nobody went around and said, hey, Saint Matthew. They just said, hey Matt, how are you? Or Andrew, they just said, hey Drew, you know. Even the Peter was referred to simply as a Pete. One time when they were doing some construction there, Peter was like a little bit of a nitpicker, and so he always wanted to do stuff. And they tried to get James to help out. And James, he didn't like to do too much of stuff there, you know, like he didn't like to paint. He didn't like to scrape. He didn't like to do any kind of like a construction stuff. But then they said, come on, Peter, he really wants this done. And then when they heard that, then James said, well, I will do it for Pete's sake. And that's how that expression that you're doing something for Pete's sake. That's how that came about too. But anyway, I was at the Vatican exercising, and they had it redone back during the Spanish Inquisition. So they got all kinds of neat little things you could do there. They have, for example, a nice beautiful rack that you can stretch out on. And that's very helpful when you're going to exercise, to stretch out before you do any kind of exercises. I recommend it tremendously. But they have that there. They have like an Olympic size baptismal pool that you can swim in, which is kind of nice. And they also have a treadmill, which is one of the things that I like to do. You know, I'm trying to maintain my shape. It's sort of a round shape I'm trying to maintain. And so I have to do the treadmill. You know, you run and you run and you run, but you don't go anywhere. It's sort of like if you ever seen like a guinea pig in like a cage on one of those wheels. Well, in this case, instead of a guinea pig on the wheel, it's a guinea on a treadmill. So it's a little bit different, but pretty much not so much. But I do that a lot, and then I do like 10 minutes of the aerobic genuflecting, which is really good for the cardio. You know, you can bend down, cross, and get back up. It's great. You really get the heart pumping and keeps you really buff. But so anyway, I'm finishing my exercise program, and I go into like the gym showers that they have there. And the way they have it set up, it's like a one big room where you could fit like a lot of people in, and there's like all these different shower heads all around. And so I'm in there and I'm showering up and all, and doing my hair, you know, and I glance over, and who do you think is standing right there at the very next shower head, right next to me? The Pope. That's right there. And I had like all these suds in my eyes. But even with all these suds, I knew right away it was the Pope, because he had on the papal shower cap that the popes wear, you know. And that's why he has such a beautiful hair, because he lets all those natural oils kind of go in there. A lot of people just overwash the hair, but he's got a very nice full white head. That's why. And I see him there, and I says to him, "Hey, Benny," because that's what we call him around there. You know, we just call him Benny, or sometimes I just call him Ben. You know, or sometimes we'll tease him a little bit, and we'll call him BB, because when they have the karaoke night at the Vatican, he gets up and he sings the Blueberry Hill song. And I tell you, close your eyes, it's so good. It sounds just like a BB King when he does that. And so I took it to him a little bit. We get changed and we get dressed, and I said, "Why don't we go get some coffee?" So we go down to the coffee shop there at the Vatican. It's called the Bean Going My Way. And we sit down, and Sister Susie serves us our coffee. And Sister Susie, I know her a long, long time. Let me tell you, you may think you know Sister Susie. I don't know if any of you do. But I'll tell you, if you knew a Sister Susie the way I know a Sister Susie, oh, what a nun. Anyway, she gets us our coffee, and we're sitting there talking. And I said to the Pope, I said, you don't see me yourself these days. You know, you seem a little run down. And he says to me, I have a confession to make to you. So I said, well, let's go to the booth. He says, no. He says, I just want you to know I am feeling a little tired. He says, it's a very difficult thing, being the Pope all the time, A lot of demands on my schedule, and never can get any sleep. People are always hanging outside my window, and I go to the window and I tell them, I say, all you people get off of the grass. And they just yell out, they think I'm blessing them, and I just want them to get off of the grass. But anyway, so I haven't really been sleeping too well, he tells me, and he says, and when I do sleep, I sleepwalk, and I already knew that, because that was going around the whole Vatican, that the Pope had been sleepwalking. Now they call him a Roman Catholic. And so he's telling me all these little problems. He says, yes, he says, as a Pope, I'm a Pope. He says, I think I'm going to retire. And I say to him, well, if you retire, then do you have any idea who might be the next Pope after you? I'm just kind of curious. And he says, well, I don't really know. He says to me, but I'm going to try to change things a little bit so that they can pick the next Pope right after I step down. He says, and I personally feel it should be somebody younger that can take the reins. Somebody who can keep up with the demands of being a Pope. And he looks at me and he smiles. He says, you know, Guido, because that's what he calls me, Guido. He says, I've often thought that you'd be a very good Pope. And I smiled. I said, well, thank you very much. He says, yeah. He says, you're kind of young. You're kind of energetic. You really know how to connect with the younger people. I mean, you could do like the rap and the whole hip-hop thing. He says, and he says, so well, I know when I cast my vote will be for you. He says, I don't know how that'll go. I can't make you no promises either. But it was very nice, very touching on my heart that he even would consider me to be the Pope. So who knows? He steps it down, and then you see the white smoke coming out of the Vatican, right? Maybe that the white smoke means that I'm the Pope. And so if that's the case, it's going to be a plenary indulgences for everybody. Okay, so God bless you all, and arrivederci.